If your tomato plants grow tall every year, but your harvest still feels disappointing, you might be making one simple mistake before the season even starts. And here's the surprising part. It has nothing to do with expensive fertilizer. It has nothing to do with buying special seeds. It happens the moment you transplant your seedlings. Most gardeners plant tomato seedlings the same way they plant everything else, straight into the soil at the exact depth they were growing in the pot. It looks right, it feels safe, but that tiny decision can limit the size of your root system, and smaller roots usually mean a smaller harvest. Today, I'm going to show you an old gardener's secret that can completely change the way your tomato plants grow, and why this one planting trick can lead to stronger plants, better flowering, and a much heavier harvest later in the season. And stay with me, because near the end, I'll show you the common mistake that silently cuts production, even when your plants look healthy. Tomatoes are different from most garden plants. If you look closely at a tomato stem, you'll notice tiny little hairs all along it. Most people never think much about them, but those tiny hairs are actually the secret. When buried under soil, those hairs can turn into roots. That means a tomato plant can grow roots not only from the original root ball, but also from the buried stem. And that changes everything. More roots mean the plant can pull in more water. More roots mean better nutrient absorption. And stronger roots help the plant support more flowers and more fruit. That's why experienced gardeners don't plant tomato seedlings shallow. They plant them deep. Here's exactly how to do it. Take your tomato seedling out of the pot and look at the lower leaves. Remove the bottom leaves carefully. Usually 1 or 2 sets is enough, depending on how tall the seedling is. Now dig a hole much deeper than you normally would, deeper than the root ball. When you place the seedling into the hole, only the top few healthy leaves should remain above the soil line. Yes, really, most of the stem should be underground. At first, that feels wrong to many beginners, but this is exactly the old gardener's trick. That buried stem becomes future roots, and those hidden roots are what build a stronger plant. But before you place the seedling in, there's one small step many gardeners skip. Loosen the soil at the bottom of the hole, not just the top, the deeper layer too. Why? Because young roots grow faster through loose soil. If the ground is compacted, the roots slow down. And the first few days after transplanting are incredibly important. That's when the plant is deciding how quickly it will establish itself. If you want an even better start, add a small handful of mature compost into the planting hole. Not fresh manure, not strong fertilizer. Young roots are delicate. Compost is gentler. It improves the soil structure, helps hold moisture, and creates a better environment for root growth. Now place the seedling into the hole and gently backfill with soil. Press lightly, just enough to hold the plant upright. Don't pack the soil too hard. Roots need air as much as they need water. Once planted, water deeply. Not a quick splash, a deep watering. This helps settle the soil around the roots and removes air pockets. But more importantly, deep watering encourages roots to grow downward. And deep roots are one of the biggest secrets to strong tomato plants in hot weather. Now here's something important. Right after transplanting, your seedling may look slightly droopy. That's normal. A lot of gardeners panic at this stage. They think they planted too deep. Usually they didn't. The plant is simply adjusting. For a few days, most of the real action is happening below the soil surface. That buried stem is beginning to form new roots. And once those roots start growing, you'll usually notice the difference fast. Within a couple of weeks, the plant often looks stronger. The stem gets thicker, new leaves appear faster, and the overall growth becomes more vigorous. That early root advantage becomes even more important later. When summer heat arrives, shallow-rooted tomatoes stress faster. They dry out faster. They often drop flowers more easily. But plants with deeper, stronger roots usually handle heat better. And better stress resistance often means better fruit production. Now here's the mistake I promised to show you. Planting too shallow. It seems harmless. In fact, it's exactly how most people plant tomatoes. But shallow planting limits how many extra roots the plant can form. That means less underground support. And later in the season, that smaller root system can quietly limit the plant's potential. A tomato plant may still grow tall, it may still look green, but when flowering begins and fruit starts forming, that limited root system often shows up in the harvest. And there's one more trick. If your seedling is tall, thin, or leggy, you don't have to plant it straight down. You can plant it sideways. Dig a shallow trench. Lay the seedling gently on its side. Cover most of the stem with soil, leaving only the top leaves exposed. In a few days, the top naturally bends upward towards the sun, and the buried stem develops roots along its entire length.
Many gardeners use this method to rescue weak-looking seedlings, and sometimes those plants end up becoming the strongest producers in the garden. So before you plant your next tomato seedling, remember this: don't just plant the roots, plant the stem too. Remove the lower leaves, bury most of the stem, give your plant the chance to build a bigger underground root system. Because the secret to a bigger tomato harvest isn't always what happens above the soil. Sometimes it starts with what you never see. And when those hidden roots get stronger, everything above ground changes too. More growth, more flowers, more fruit. And once you see the difference for yourself, you may never plant tomato seedlings the old way again.